Well, a victory for the Trump administration as the Supreme Court agrees to take up the case of whether or not Congress should be given access to redacted grand jury testimony from the Mueller investigation. Democrats, of course, were anxious to get their hands on that before the election. The decision makes it likely that the testimony will not see the light of the day before the November election. Former Trump impeachment defense team member and former Whitewater independent counsel Robert Ray joining us now. Robert, great to see you. We remember instances in our lifetime when the Supreme Court got involved in a decision that affected an election. I remember the Bush election in 2000, for example. I mean, it's not something the Supreme Court likes to do. Is that why they put this off until after November?
I'm not sure they necessarily did that on purpose, but that's obviously the effect. The point being that these things take time to make their way through the federal court system, which is to say through a district court, then the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals, and now on to the Supreme Court. The reason the Supreme Court took the case is because it presents a very challenging and difficult issue involving separation of powers. And the bottom line is that there's a rule that applies to the release of grand jury material, and it can only be released in connection with a judicial proceeding. During the Watergate era, it was deemed to be close enough if the two branches of government that were affected agreed. And in that case, the House Judiciary Committee and the executive branch agreed that the material should be released in connection with the Nixon impeachment.
Right.
Here, the administration has opposed it, and the Congress is attempting to obtain the material, and it was done only through a vote of the House Judiciary Committee. So it's not even clear, first, that it was an action of the House of Representatives, and second, it was over the objection of the White House.
Let's kind of get out of the weeds for a second, talk about what's really going on here. It's redacted material, the stuff that the grand jury, that's what they want access to, the Democrats. The redacted material that the grand jury listened to included a lot of salacious stuff that probably wasn't true. That happens with grand juries all the time. The Democrats wanted to see that material, potentially use it in the campaign coming up in November. But it's material, again, the basis of redacted material and grand jury information is that it can't be proven. It's salacious. A lot of it is hearsay. It's kind of like the Trump dossier. A lot of it probably isn't true, but they wanted access to it so they could leak it out and use it, correct?
Right, and that's why there's a rule that prohibits its release unless and until there's a court proceeding. And it's also, I think obvious to everyone that I don't really seriously think that the House of Representatives is going down the road of another impeachment proceeding. So there's really no live proceeding and therefore no reason for the material to be released.
Robert, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I do want to get one question in about what happened today with the charges against the demonstrator, if you want to use that term, who was trying to pull down the Andrew Jackson statue that was arrested. His name is Jason Charter. He was apparently leading the efforts of demonstrators to pull down the statue. He's been arrested. Federal charges, nothing to think lightly of, are going to be applied to him. Is the government going to try to find out through him, by squeezing him, find out whether or not he was financed and who his financiers and the financiers of the whole movement really are?
Right. I mean, look, no one's trying to impinge on anybody's First Amendment rights to protest, but this is destruction of federal property. Those are live and real federal charges. And I think it warrants and bears attention to find out if his activities were orchestrated and controlled and financed by the organization. If that's true, then other people should be held to account on the same basis. And the only way to get at that is to prosecute and threaten imprisonment of this individual so that he'll give up other people who may have, we don't know, who may have directed his activities. And that's what RICO is all about. Robert Ray, good to see you, my friend. Thank you very much. Have a good holiday. Appreciate it.